Good evening, everyone. Happy Christmas Eve. For those of you celebrating Christmas, for those of you that aren't, happy Saturday night, or whatever other thing you want to throw in there. Thanks for joining us. I got co-host Curtis over here. Say hi, Curtis.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
I said say hi, Curtis.
Hi, Curtis.
Cool. Well, we got a couple folks out there. Quick shout out to we got Alexis, Ostradamus, Master Versal Toy Hunter, Michael Casper, J Mac, Alexander, and David are all in here at the moment, or at least in the chat. So thanks for joining, everybody.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how many people we'd get on Christmas Eve, but even if it was just me and you, it's still worthwhile to do because this show's fun. So
yeah.
Oops. Sorry.
Well, hey, you're officially a regular co-host on this show.
Correct.
Show.
This is
so
the
you're
only
always going to
show
be
that
here
I'm
going
committed to full time for sure.
So we were talking a little bit before we got started here. You were doing some holiday stuff today, some Christmas movies and all that sort of good stuff. Is there any particular family traditions you guys do? Christmas Eve, Christmas Day that are particularly special to you guys?
We almost always watch Scrooged. We typically will watch it either on Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving, and then typically we'll watch it, 3 or 4 times throughout the month of December, and then definitely on Christmas Eve. So we watched that today. Also watched Miracle on 34th Street. I kind of bounce back and forth. There's like the one from like the 1980s where it's like in color, and then there's the old black and white one, and I kind of bounce back and forth. Like one year I'll watch the color version, one year I'll go to the black and white. But I love that Miracle on 34th Street. And then we normally will open like one present on Christmas Eve and then open the rest on Christmas Day. Today we ended up doing 2 because we woke up this morning and opened up a present, and then we went to go have lunch. We were going to eat at this barbecue joint and didn't realize they were closed today. So we were kind of disappointed. And then we were like, we probably need to open up another present to kind of get rid of that disappointment. So we ended up doing 2 today, which was actually cool. I had one of my daughters gave me her present, and she had placed an order through Wolf King Customs. It was her first Wolf King Customs order. So she ordered me some parts from there. So that was awesome.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, good day today.
Excellent. I got up. I watched Violent Night. It's on Amazon now, so I watched that, and I ran to the post office, dropped off some stuff for some folks, and stopped by Sean's, dropped off some stuff for him, I came home and started tearing my apartment apart and rearranging stuff.
Hey, you say you're doing a little redecorating?
Yeah, I get to a point every so often where I have to move stuff around because the way I'm doing it, it feels cluttered. Like it's a good size apartment for me being by myself, but every now and then, like I've got too many comics. I need to clear out some of my comics, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm working in a kitchen. I don't know if you've ever worked in a kitchen or anything like at a restaurant where like there's everybody like zigzagging behind and you're always like calling out where you are and stuff. I feel like I do that here, but with my shelving. And
gotcha. You're calling out stuff to yourself.
Yeah. It's just like, got to turn, okay, all right, 2 more steps, and then I got to pivot around this thing. And so I'm just trying to free up some space, and yeah, and I wanted to get some different stuff other than just my Aquaman poster behind my head. I wanted to get some other stuff in the shot.
The Rogue does look nice. I haven't seen it before. That is a nice little statue. So
yeah, it's my one big purchase from Sideshow a couple of years ago. So that's like 24 inches or something. So it's pretty big.
That's cool.
Yeah, and she's got like an actual like leather jacket or faux leather or whatever. So
gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah, I still have my living room side is completely trashed. So
Yeah, I work 2 days next week. So the plan is to really clean up my work area where I normally would do painting and stuff. I haven't painted anything in the month of December at all. And I did a little bit of painting in November, not a whole lot, and nothing in December. So my plan is to get everything kind of straightened up and cleaned up in my work area, organized, and hit it hard here next week. So
sounds good.
cool.
Sounds good.
How before we get any further, how was that violent night? I saw it was at the theaters, and I didn't want to necessarily go out to watch it. And then what were your thoughts on that?
I really enjoyed it. I'm pretty picky about Christmas movies because I feel so many of them are. I don't enjoy a lot of them. There are certain ones I do, like, because I didn't get to grow up watching National Lampoon, so I got into that in college and after. So like that one's still fresh enough for me. But like I like Elf, but like that's kind of like it's like overdone with the super sweetness of Christmas, and I feel like too many movies are too close to that, maybe not as funny. But this one was good. Like I love that it's got that whole spirit of Christmas, believe in Santa thing, but it's mixed with Die Hard, if you will, except instead of John McClane, it's Santa.
Gotcha.
So
I'll have to check it out. Is it free on Amazon, or do you have to pay for it?
No, it was, you could rent or buy, because I think it's still in the theater.
Do you know how much it is?
It was like 19 to rent or 20 to rent, 25 to buy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I had a couple of friends and my brother really talked it up. So I was like, well, if they like it, I'll probably like it. So I went out and I just paid the extra $5 and bought it.
That's cool.
Because like, if it's good, I'll watch it again. But $20 for a rental is a bit much.
Right. Yeah. You may as well spend the extra money and just own it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah, no, it's funny. David Harbour's great. For anybody watching that is in the cabal, if Father Christmas wasn't your Santa, this movie gives you the Santa you want. I promise you.
Nice.
But no, yeah, it was fun. It was fun, entertaining. I like David Harbour. The rest of the cast was okay, but like he was great.
Yeah. I liked him in that Black Widow movie. I thought he did a really good job in that role. Yeah.
I love how just like delusional he was.
Yeah. It was a funny one.
I know Steven was watching this. He probably hates this part of the movie, but when the girls are talking about what they do to them in the Black Widow program, and he's like, "Oh, do you have to be so nasty?
So that they can't have kids?" Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, just the way he reacts to that was
right. Like it bothers him more to hear about it than it bothers them to have had it done.
Live with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a couple more people. Raphael and Oz are back. Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas. So tomorrow you got some special. I mean, you've got kids and stuff at home, so you guys. Yeah. How early do you guys get up?
We usually will say like, we're not going to get up before like 6, and then we find ourselves down here at like 4:30 in the morning. So it just kind of depends on when I wake up, and then I usually am so amped up for everybody to open their gifts that I just wake everybody else up. So we'll see. I would imagine it's going to be early.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what's your youngest?
The youngest that we have in the house is 16.
Okay.
Actually, well, that's our youngest altogether. We got twins that are 16.
Okay.
So we've got 4 teenagers in the house. We've got 2 adult children that live in California. So we got a lot going on.
Okay. And are they here from California for Christmas?
No. We send off our gifts to them and stuff.
Okay.
Actually, my son in California, he's into Mythic Legions now. So I was able to send him out some Mythic Legions. I sent him 3 of them. he opened 2 already, and then he's saved 1 more for tomorrow. So
Excellent.
yeah, so he's pretty excited about that. So,
Very cool.
yeah, he's in med school right now. He's studying to be a neurosurgeon. So
Oh wow.
he's been in school, pretty much his whole life. He's 30, still in school, and I think he's got like 2 more years before he actually like starts practicing. So
Oh wow.
yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
And
That's
that's
awesome.
just for his what is it, the residency, and then he's still got,
Okay.
all that other stuff. So yeah, it's a long journey for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. Does he do the customizing and stuff too, or is he just like the figures as is?
He he doesn't usually have time to do it on his own, but when he comes out here, like yeah, we break out the parts bins and paint,
Okay.
and we get to it. Like it's interesting to see how his brain works, because like, typically I get a figure, and whether I customize it or get it out of the package, I'll find a pose that I like and throw them in the cabinet, and that's it. Like he actually like will put him in these like really like interesting poses and fight scenes and stuff, and we'll change them up like 50 different ways, and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have even thought of that. And it's just, yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how his brain works. So
Oh, that's
he
really
had
cool.
one last time he was out here where he had a troll that was fighting a couple knights, and he had like a knife on his back, or had a knight on it on the back of the troll with like a spear, like trying to jab it into his neck. And
That's
I was
awesome.
like, I wouldn't have even like thought of that. That's crazy. So yeah, it's good stuff. I need to get him back out here. It's just been hard with his schooling. He's just so busy. So
Yeah, yeah. So he's your Steven to your Travis
yeah, I
as
guess.
far as posing.
Yeah,
Does he do stuff in your cabinets, or does he leave yours alone?
no, I've got a couple like I think my blood armor. He posed that, and I left it the way he posed it, and I think I got a few more, but he hasn't been out here in a year and a half, 2 years, so I need to get him
Oh,
back
okay.
out here. So yeah,
All right. Well, hey, let's we talked about possibly doing some top lists. Yeah, you want to like keep it simple. You want to do top 5, top 3,
yeah. I think just top in general. I didn't like actually
top in
write
general.
anything
Okay.
down. So
Me
like
either.
I first of all we weren't planning on doing a show tonight. For those of you that were on, what was it, last week or the week before? Last week you had your family, which that was a great show, by the way. I
Oh, thank you.
really enjoyed that. Your brothers at times, it was probably the least G-rated episode at times.
Remember,
uh,
was it you? Someone got shocked that I made a poop joke or a fart
yeah,
joke, and I'm
it was.
like,
Yeah, but it was fun. It was good to see you guys bounce things off of each other. But we weren't planning on doing a show, and then, I know myself. I don't want to speak for you, Jesse, but I know myself. I've been struggling with some, whether it's seasonal depression or Legion's Con hangover, whatever you want to call it. Like it's just been a little rough. Like I haven't had motivation really to go to the gym. Haven't had motivation to paint. It's been tough. So this show is one of the things that I really look forward to, just kind of hanging out and talking. So I think,
awesome.
doing this tonight, not only just, hanging out and talking with you and people in chat, but just kind of talking about the things that we enjoyed from this year is a nice therapeutic experience, I guess, to really focus and be
Absolutely.
grateful and that kind of thing. So
No,
that was
I'm
my
I'm
thoughts.
I'm 100% with you there. I've never really experienced like seasonal depression and that sort of stuff before, at least not that I know of. But when fall kicked in this year, I love fall and I love rain. But when October started and it got cold and it started raining for like the first 3 days of October, I was like so messed up. Like I was like, and I'm on a mild antidepressant. I'm like, what is this like making me now experience a different level of depression that I've never
Yeah.
experienced before? And this week's been pretty rough with stuff. So yeah, I'm right there with you. And I enjoy doing this show. I've enjoyed doing it on my own, but I'm really happy to have you as my co-host now. So
Yeah,
um,
it's fun. I think,
yeah,
one thing is I came home from Legion's Con. I felt sick afterwards, like physically sick. Like, just body aches and sore throat and all that kind of stuff. And I would say for a good 3 or 4 weeks, I did not feel healthy. So that was one thing of it. And then, you add on top of it, like outside, it's cold and dark and wet and it's, just, I don't know, icky. And, I think that kind of combines but like I said, this show's been good. And I thought kind of just going through some of the things that we enjoyed would be a nice little idea for
Excellent.
a show. So
Yeah, no, I'm glad you suggested it. Otherwise, if I did anything this weekend, it was just going to be like spitballing, painting and stuff. But since my place is torn apart, I'm not doing any painting today. Just off camera, like my paint desk is just every random thing that I could plop on my paint desk that I wasn't worried. So I've got I'm not even going to get into it. It's a mess.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I got in it's when we were at Legion's Con, some people had asked about mud thump parts. Like we've had a few of the male goblins painted up on the website, but we really haven't done the female ones painted in a while. So Len sent me a big pile of parts of Luna and Mama Mud Thump and their torsos and heads and stuff. And so I've got those parts kind of laid out all over my workstation. And then I ended up getting a couple things. I got the goblin throne that I had posted in the Cabal on Big Bad Toy Store. So I actually put that up. But then I got this big jail cell diorama thing, and I'm not real happy with it, but that's taking up part of my workstation too. So I just need to clean up my workstation, get it all ready to start painting again.
Like I haven't done much. I came back, I had COVID, I was sick, I missed a week of work. I have been so tired since that. Like I feel like, trying to do anything past like 10 o'clock, I'm just like, nope, body shutting down, time to go to bed, So I've gotten to do some painting, but not as much. I've got all these things that from Legion's Con and even before that I didn't get to that. I'm like, like I can't buy I'm not buying any new parts until I get through at least half of this stuff.
Yeah. That's like, I saw the sale at Legion shop and I'm like, oh, what is it? Like 20% off a $100 purchase. And I'm like, no, you don't need any more parts right now.
Like I don't have figures for parts to go with at this point anymore. Like I've maxed out my,
that's a problem too.
My inventory. So,
see, I keep a stash in the garage. So I've probably got, I don't know, 30 plus figures in the garage that are just sitting there in case I want to do a custom. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll do, for recapping the year. I know one of the things, like we met and became friends this year. I think pretty early on in the spring. I think we did a trade first, or
I think the first interaction we had, you were on Jeremy's show, and I reached out to you afterwards just to let you know that it was a really good show and that I appreciated some of the things that you talked about, because you touched on some of your anxiety and stuff like that in it. So I reached out to you after that show, and that's just something that I try to do when I see, I watch a lot of these Legion shows, Legion's Lair and Lounge and Mythic Conversations. And I try to do my best to, when I see folks on, reach out to them and just let them know what I liked or whatever. And just encourage the folks, because I enjoy this stuff. I really like it. So I just, try to do that. And I think that's the first time that we really talked. And then we just kind of, I don't know, we started talking on a more regular basis after that, just little things here and there, showing each other parts. Because then we just shortly after that, we both started painting for Legion's Legion shop.
Yep.
And so then we started talking about that. Like I was showing you stuff I was painting, you were showing me stuff you were painting. So yeah, that was it. And now we're on a show together.
Okay.
So
yeah. I couldn't remember. For some reason, I thought we did it. Like I was meeting so many people through,
what we did, because I traded you some Kauros parts, because you were saying something about you needed like and when you were on Jeremy's show, you said something about the Fuzz Monk. I had the Mephitor heads. I sent you those. Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember if that was before or after, but yeah.
because I usually just keep all my extra heads in a pile. And then if I hear somebody say, "Oh, I need this or that," I just, hey, shoot me your address, and I just send it off. So
Awesome. Can't hear you, Matt. I don't know what your problem is, but we love you too.
yeah, I can
And
hear you just fine. So
Master Versal, yeah, I saw he posted some pictures of a bronze dwarf he was dremeling out and doing some wear and tear on it. So hopefully tomorrow, if I get everything set up, I'll do just a hangout chill session while I try to paint some stuff. And
that's cool.
So yeah, you like the lights? What lights? You can barely see the lights tonight. Those lights are always there. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, just let me know. As long as it's not one I have plans for. If it's just sitting in my box, I typically will just, part with it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Absolutely.
We'll catch the audio version later. Gotta love the douche.
Somebody has to.
Yeah, exactly.
And we got Dwayne from Destination Stone. Yeah, I've this is acquired. Man, I can't read tonight. There it is. You can see it.
I've acquired quite a few parts to paint recently. I have more parts than figures to put them on. That I understand that struggle completely. I mean, I do have figures in the garage, but I definitely have. I've got parts that I bought 2 years ago that I still haven't painted yet. So, yeah.
And it's so many of the parts guys, they'll just throw in like an extra thing or two, and it's just like, well, now I got to get a whole new figure. Like,
yeah, yep.
Yeah, good. It's. I mean, it's a good problem to have. I am not complaining.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we want to get into some of our tops. What?
Yeah.
You want to start with toys? You want to start with shows, movies, books? Where's a good place to start?
Let's start with books, since you said that.
The only thing book wise I really read this year, I got into the King Killer Chronicles. Jeremy got me into those, so I read the first 2 books. The third book, I guess, the folks that have been reading that, they've been waiting like 11 years for the guy to write the third book, which he has not put out yet. So I will say the first 2 books are amazing.
Okay.
So if you haven't read those yet, I would strongly encourage you to read them. The only thing is that once you get done with the second book, you're going to be ready to steamroll into the third one, and it's not there. So
I'll probably wait until I see an announcement for the third one, and then.
Yeah. But it's a good series for sure.
Okay.
But
just a quick synopsis, like, is it like medieval fantasy type stuff?
Yeah, it's kind of like if I was to compare it would kind of be like some sort of a cross between like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. Like there's a lot of magic and medieval type stuff and demons and different things like that. Like it's
okay.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So
cool.
But a lot of, at least the first book especially, a lot of it takes place at like a school very similar to like Hogwarts.
Okay.
So if so just something like that, but it's unique. It's very different from Harry Potter though. So but I strongly recommend it. It's a really good series. Just don't get mad at me when you get through with the first 2 and the third one's not there. So
well, I started doing audiobooks this year, a couple months ago, just because like the time I have to read at home, like I want to paint or I want to work on my own writing, so I haven't been like physically reading a lot of stuff. But my favorite thing I've read or listened to this year was what was it called? Legends and Lattes. I don't know. It was recommended to me by my friend Danny, River Swift recommended it, and it was a nice different because I'm used to like Lord of the Rings, the like kind of the high fantasy stuff. So this was about a female orc adventurer who
Hmm.
decided she wanted to retire and open a coffee shop in a new town. So it's a little more slice of life in a fantasy world setting. So it was kind of like being an adventurer in a D&D game, and then like after the campaign is over, they're now starting their life, non-adventuring, and it was really nice. It was funny. It had some action in it, but I really enjoyed it. It was Travis Baldry was the writer, and yeah, it was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that sounds fun. That's really. I mean, I've read a couple comic books this year. Other than that, though, those. I mean, the two books that I mentioned are fairly thick, so those took up quite a bit of my time. And I'm not a huge reader, anyways. That's
Okay.
if I typically if there's a book that also has a movie out, I'm catching the movie.
Yeah.
So, but but those books did keep my interest for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah. I did try to read that one that Emil recommended a few weeks ago.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it was, for my taste, it was a little more inappropriate than I thought something that Emil would recommend. that
Which
Steve,
one?
that Steve Lichman, I think is what it was called. So,
Oh right.
yeah, like I got a few pages in, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty aggressive. So I may go back to it, but at first my first instinct or my first taste of it was kind of like, wow, this is a little might be a little too much for me. So
Okay.
yeah.
Excellent.
What about
Um,
shows?
shows.
A lot of good shows this year.
Yeah. I'd say probably I the one I enjoyed the most, that I think I got the most out of, and will probably get the most out of on a rewatch,
Hmm.
is man, I'm trying to remember all the stuff back to the beginning of the year. But my first one, the first thing that comes to mind that stands out is Andor.
Yeah.
Um,
The Andor, I felt like it's a very slow burn. It's unique in the fact that it explores some of these characters that in the movies and even in the other shows we really haven't delved into some of the officers and citizens and different things like that. So it's very unique in that sense, and it's good. um for me, I like a lot more action, so it was
yeah,
I, I would much rather watch, like, for instance, The Mandalorian than Andor, but it was enjoyable. And I did like the whole, without giving away anything in the season for people that haven't watched it, but just the prison part of it I enjoyed. Um, Not so much I know you you said you don't really like the whole prison vibe, but more the working together to try to,
yeah.
break out and that kind of thing. So
It prison stuff, whether it's sci-fi, fantasy, or like Shawshank, that sort of stuff. It just makes me so uncomfortable, and I just want everybody to get out. I mean,
yeah.
well, not everybody. Because usually the characters you're with are, for the wrong reasons or whatever. Um, but those episodes were, I think, amazingly done and
Hmm.
amazingly acted. I mean, um, I guess, and I don't know if I've ever shared this. My reactions to stuff are largely how they make. So it might not be the best made movie or show,
Hmm.
but if it resonates with me emotionally, that's how I rate
Oh yeah.
my favorites. That sort of thing is like, how does it make me feel? Does it evoke a strong emotional reaction from me, and do I like that, having that emotion paired
Right.
with whatever it is I'm watching? Um,
So I had to go back and kind of look at some of the shows that came out this year and really think about, because there's a lot that I enjoyed watching, but there's only a few where I was like waiting for the next episode to drop, like, hey, you need to drop this so I can watch it. And for me, the one that was the biggest one was House of the Dragon. Like,
okay.
I loved it. Like, I wasn't when Game of Thrones was out, like I never watched a Game of Thrones episode until after the series was completely done, and then I kind of binge watched it, and I enjoyed it. There was some parts that were a little much for me, but for the most part, I enjoyed Game of Thrones. But House of the Dragon was amazing. Like I was each week, I'm like, okay, is it here yet? Can I watch it? And I probably watched each episode at least 2 or 3 times.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I just enjoyed it thoroughly. So
okay.
I don't know, what did you?
Actually,
I'm guessing you
I
watched
enjoyed
the
it, not as much as you did, but I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I think the acting and the costuming was great. Again, it's a show that has enough stuff in it that makes me very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
But it's done in such a way, it's very realistic, and very, a lot of us like to look at our fantasy stuff as being like, at least I do, like, more like that Legends and Lattes book, where it's a little more of a, not a perfect world, but not necessarily as horrible as our world. And I feel like Game of
Right.
Thrones and House of the Dragon like really leans into, yeah, we're all horrible people.
Right.
Here's us without electricity and dragons.
Yeah. Well, and
um,
normally I don't like when they do like actor changes, like for age progression and stuff. Like it
yeah,
I usually get attached to a certain character, a certain actor's portrayal of that character. So then when they switch, it's very jarring for me. But I didn't feel that way watching this series. Like I think they did a really good job. The actors and actresses that they did switch out kind of took the baton where the other one left off and really ran with it. And I,
yeah,
it felt seamless to me. So
yeah, I agree. They did a really good job with that. The the actors and actors did a great job transitioning in that. Um, I'm just repeating what you said, but yes, I agree.
yeah. And then there was a couple more that I don't know that I was necessarily waiting for the episodes to come out, but I really enjoyed. And the other two that I was thinking of was Wednesday, which is still kind of popular and people are watching now, and She-Hulk. Those were the other two where it was like, I don't know that I was on the edge of my seat waiting for each episode to drop, but I really enjoyed it, and I found myself very entertained on 2 series that I really, going into it, didn't know that I would.
Okay.
So those were kind of surprises for me.
What's up, Joe? Thanks for joining in. Yeah, I've not watched Wednesday yet, but I enjoyed She-Hulk. I know you and I have talked about this before, but I feel like it gave me exactly what I was hoping for from
Mhm.
that character, and just kind of the level of humor I expected in that show. Wasn't perfect, but I really enjoyed it. And I watch most of the Disney and Marvel shows with my mom, so I have to get up really early on Wednesday to try to get it in before work. Um, because I work eight to 4:30 at my regular job, and then I work part-time at the comic shop, and I like to kind of get some of those nerdy shows in before I go there, in case someone spoils, or
Right.
which most of our customers are pretty good with that, but
Yeah, but if you work in a comic shop, people are going to talk. I mean,
someone, yeah,
even if
it's
they're not
yeah,
trying to intend to spoil it, they're going to want
right,
to have conversations and stuff. And
yeah. Like
yeah,
at one time when Batman v Superman came out, I'm not going to get into the movie itself, but I was set up for the comic shop in the lobby of the movie theater, kind of like cross promoting.
yeah,
And I was there. I was going to go watch the later of the shows. It was a Thursday night. They did like an earlier show and a later show.
mhm.
So I was set up, and for all the people coming in for the first one, I tore down. And as the first showing was getting out, I was still out there tearing stuff down to get ready to go to my show. And this guy comes up to me, and he just spoils the whole ending of it, which I kind of expected
Mhm.
the movie to go the direction it did, because I wasn't that excited for that movie to begin with. So when he said that, I was like, great, now I have to go sit through this 3-hour movie and I know exactly how it's going to end. And he's like,
Yeah,
well, I didn't spoil anything. I'm like, I mean,
you did.
you didn't tell me 2 and 2 equals 4, but you told me that they got to 4. Like,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, so you watch that stuff with,
Yeah.
Sean and I started I don't know, I definitely didn't know you years ago
Hmm.
when we were doing this. Sean and I we would do Beardy and the Baldy
Yeah.
uh, as a channel. We would do movie reviews and talk about different stuff. And I think that was one of our first ones, if not our first one. And we we talked for longer than the movie was.
I don't
Um,
I don't know how many ways you can say it wasn't good, but okay.
Sean feels very passionately about Superman.
Yeah.
Um,
In
and
in what way? Like
he
he
loves
loves Superman?
yes, he loves
Okay.
Superman. And yeah, I won't speak for him. Um, 5 thumbs down from Beardy and the Ball. I don't know where that 5th thumb's coming from, but it's not me.
Well, I'm with Sean because I was a huge Superman fan growing up. Like that was, when I collected comics, but the one that I really followed every iteration that came out was Superman. So I was collecting
Okay.
Action Comics, Adventure Comics, Man of Steel, Superman main title, any kind of mini series that came out. So I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to the Superman movies
Sure.
because like I expect certain things, and when they don't live up to that, it does bother me. So
Yeah.
I think the reason why I've enjoyed Marvel so much is that I wasn't fully enveloped in that growing up. So a lot of the stories that come out with Marvel, it's the first time that I'm seeing that on the big screen. So I don't have
Okay.
anything to compare it to, like with the Thor Love and Thunder. Like I
Yeah.
didn't have any connection to that storyline and the God Killer, God Slayer, or whatever. So like I didn't feel like they totally did that character poorly. But like Travis, who loves that character and loves that storyline, was like, "Oh man, they totally butchered it." So I think a lot of it is just based on your experiences and
Well,
what
yeah.
you know.
And when Marvel started with Iron Man and all that stuff up through the first Captain America movie, I hadn't really read the X-Men was my thing.
Hmm.
So I mean, I'd read those characters in other things, but I never really followed them. So all their stuff was new and fresh. So when Thor came out, I went back and picked up some stuff and got into Thor. And that series started with the God Butcher and Gore and everything, and I really enjoyed that. And I know now that like I can separate the comic from the movie in that they're going to tell the story differently. They're going to do some things differently.
Right.
But my issue with Thor: Love and Thunder was like how off kilter it felt compared to even Ragnarok.
I loved Ragnarok. Ragnarok
So
is
did
hands
I.
down my favorite Marvel movie. I think the problem is that I think Taika Waititi got a lot of praise for the funny parts of Ragnarok and tried to double down on Love and Thunder and
Yeah.
threw too many of those funny parts in there, and it just became this ridiculous movie. I mean, I had a good time. I went to expect to have laughs and hear some good music, and I did that. So for me, I still enjoyed the experience, but the movie is not a rewatchable, lovable movie,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So
Yeah. I can't say I dislike it, but it was disappointing
yeah,
um, from just what came before. Like you said, I think whether it was in editing or whatever, they really hammered down on the jokes, no pun intended.
hmm,
Um, and like, yes, I was disappointed the way Gore looked, but I think
hmm.
Christian Bale performed him phenomenally. Like, um, yeah. But we're not
Yeah, I
talking about
think
things we don't like.
the well, they and just real quick before we get off of that,
Yeah.
so the only fan theory that I've heard that kind of makes me not dislike Love and Thunder that much is I heard somebody say that when you watch Ragnarok at the beginning of the story, it starts out being narrated by Thor. So if
Mhm.
you kind of think of the whole movie as being told through Thor's, like that's Thor's version of that movie, it makes sense that he comes out very, heroic and he beats Hulk in the arena and he's a badass in that movie because it's being told by Thor. And when you watch Love and Thunder, it starts out and it's being told by Korg. And Korg is this silly, ridiculous character. So the stories that you're seeing on the screen may not be exactly how it really happened,
Sure.
but that's Korg's version in his mind of how it happened. Thor doing the splits and, with the ships and, the clothes being ripped off and all this kind of stuff. Like maybe it happened a little bit differently, but that's Korg's version of the story. And
Sure.
so if I watch the movie with that in mind, that this is a story being told to me by Korg, it makes it a little bit better. Not much, but a little bit.
It does. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. And see, I think with Ragnarok, I don't, to me, and maybe I'll have to pay attention differently next time I watch it. It didn't feel so much as Thor was, I mean, yeah, he's talking at the beginning, but I didn't feel as much that he was painting himself out to be the hero because he felt very in line with who he had been in the previous movies. I felt.
I don't think that in Thor Ragnarok, I don't think he came across as stupid. Like in the other movies, there's like it feels not stupid, but like out of touch with human and earthly things. And so, sometimes he looks ridiculous, like he says things or doesn't get things go over his head. Whereas with it, Thor Ragnarok, it looked like he was, he knew what was going on the whole time. He was
Right. Well, he was in his element. I mean, he was in space. He was with all that other stuff. So it's, and progression of character, if you will, and all that. But like his achievements. Yeah. So yeah, when someone, I think Sean said it or someone pointed it out, or I don't know who pointed the Korg thing out first, but yeah, it definitely makes it a little less hard to swallow that pill. Because he does start and finish the movie narrating. So
yeah, I think for me, pinnacle Thor was Infinity War. Like that was like the scene where he's with Rocket in the ship and he's talking about all the people that he's lost.
Yeah.
And like that emotional scene where he's there and he's talking about, losing his brother and his mom and all this and that, all of his people, like to me. And then, he lands and like takes out like all of, that army and stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, you guys are screwed. Like Thor just showed up and, he's a bad, like to me, that was pinnacle Thor. And then you get to Endgame and you get Fat Thor and people thought it was funny or what. I hated it. I absolutely hated the whole Fat Thor version. And like you took this guy that you just made me like I did not like the first Thor movie that much. The second Thor movie I thought it was the worst movie that Marvel's made. Like, I'm like, this is just terrible. And then Ragnarok was great. Infinity War, he was great. And then Endgame is like, yeah, now he's fat and a slob and, sad and all this and that. And I'm like, it's just terrible. So, but anyway, I digress.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I really liked, I can't say I liked Fat Thor, but I thought it was a really interesting thing playing into all of the, especially, we've talked a little bit about mental health stuff, like coming into all that, like looking back at that now and like seeing, I was like, okay, yeah, they're playing it for jokes, but like there's something serious going on. So when you got to Love and Thunder, they said, oh, we're not going to do just a thing where he's still going to be in the fat suit, at the beginning of the movie. I'm like, well, they training montage that out like that. And,
yeah, I liked that they did hit on the emotional side of that and the anxiety and depression. And I thought they did really well with Hawkeye's character as well with that and his family. I just wish it wasn't Thor. It was like, that was my guy. Like, it was like, if you made anybody else like sad and depressed and all this kind of stuff, that's cool, whatever. But like, you just finish off with Thor being the absolute badass in Infinity War. And then this, just, I left on such a high and then came back to such a low. So,
well, I mean, I think that whole movie, even if you take the Thor part out of it, that whole first act in that movie in Endgame just gutted everybody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. See, I know a lot of people put Thor Dark World really low. I enjoy it because it's definitely not the best Thor movie. I do like it more than Love and Thunder at this point, but I love so many elements of it. But yeah, no, I get it.
So, any other series, or do we? I mean, we already kind of started talking about movies, but any other series before we move on to movies that we enjoyed from this year?
I'm trying to remember. Like, I'm enjoying Willow, not so much the last episode, but I am enjoying Willow as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Um, man, I can't even remember everything else that came out this year.
Well, you had the Lord of the Rings one.
Oh yeah, yeah, that one. I can't believe I forgot that was this year. That was definitely that's probably my number two, maybe tied with Andor. I know it was a slow burn for some people, like you were saying with Andor, but
yeah,
I love the world of Middle Earth so much. Again, and they're making a lot of changes, but I really like everything they're doing with that show.
we had Miss Marvel, which was okay for what it was. I mean, it didn't blow me away, but I enjoyed learning about new culture, things that I didn't know. So that was nice. You had Moon Knight, which, I feel like there were some good parts. I feel like there was a lot of parts that could have been better. I feel like there's a lot of the fight scenes and things that I would want to see that we as an audience were blacked out along with the character and didn't get to see it. And then the other one that really stuck in my mind was Kenobi. Like that was, to me, that was the Star Wars this year. Like Andor was good. I enjoyed it, but Kenobi, and especially that fight scene with him and Vader and the helmet slice and the whole talking and the two voices, like, yeah, like give me that. That's my Star Wars. So
Kenobi's definitely up there. And yeah, man, Moon Knight, I absolutely love. That's probably my favorite Marvel thing from this year. Yeah,
it was definitely good. I enjoyed it, and that was another one. All three of those this year: She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, and Moon Knight. I knew nothing about any of those characters going into it, so it was all new to me. I enjoyed all three of them. I would say out of the three, I would probably say I enjoyed She-Hulk the most. Just from a week to week basis, it was just fun. But I all three of them I didn't regret watching. So
cool.
Yeah.
I liked all Ms. Marvel. Again, it's a show. I've read the comic. I really like her character. I think the actress, I think the whole cast did a really good job. There's a couple like storyline things that I thought were a little clunky, but overall, I really, like you said, the cultural stuff, like seeing her with her family. I really like the way they did that. And just getting to see a different slice of that kind of family style in America that, other than, what I've seen on CT or 24 or like
right.
other, where everybody's a terrorist. Like, it was nice to see just a family. But yeah, Stranger Things was good. Mac just
Stranger Things was good.
Mentioned that. The first part of that series really dragged for me, but I liked overall. Yeah, Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that in the movies for sure. That was one of my top movies of the year for sure.
Okay. All right. Well,
that's my daughter there. Talking about Stranger Things. So yeah, Stranger Things was good. The end, that last episode, although predictable, because I kind of knew, like, I kind of had a feeling when they introduced Eddie that I'm like, man, I don't like this guy, but I know they're gonna make me like this guy, and then they're gonna kill this guy. And that's like, because they did that with Billy, and I'm like, they're gonna give him the Billy treatment where they're gonna make me love this guy, and then they're gonna kill him, and I'm gonna be mad. So yeah, that was disappointing.
Well, I feel like with Billy, they did it the other way. Like, they made you hate him. At least they made me hate him. Then they killed him. Then they went back and made me love him.
See, but I hated him, but then when he like stood up for them and stuff and sacrificed himself, then you like love him, and then he dies. And I kind of felt like I didn't like Eddie at first, like the whole lunchroom scene, and just like, I don't know, he just came across as too much. I'm like, this guy is just too over the top. I don't,
Yeah.
and then it's like, and the whole Chrissy thing and the drugs, and then all of a sudden, like, you get kind of used to him. He's playing off of Steve, and they, like, had a couple jabs back and forth that were really good, and
Yeah.
like, okay, I kind of like this guy. And then he plays the song, and it's like, oh, I love this guy. He's definitely
Yeah.
dying. So yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the payoff, like the last two episodes or so of that show, the second half of that season was really good. Or really
Yeah.
made everything come together. Yeah.
So what about movies?
Movies?
What are some movies this year that you really enjoyed?
I'd have to say probably my favorite movie this year. Um, uh, my franchise fan brain wants to say Avatar 2,
Hmm.
but I think the movie I was most impressed and enjoyed the most this year was The Northman.
That was a good one. Yeah, I did like that one quite a bit. Um, hadn't even thought about that. I was kind of racking my brain for what came out this year, and my brain immediately goes to first comic book movies. Um, so from a Marvel side, Werewolf by Night would be my favorite this year, because
Okay.
Doctor Strange really didn't do it for me. Thor: Love and Thunder, not so much. Black Panther 2 was pretty good, but I think I would give the edge to Werewolf by Night. I really loved
Okay.
the way that they did that. The whole black and white, just the story. It wasn't a long movie, but the way that they did it, I really enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was really good. Um, I'd say Black Panther: Wakanda Forever and Avatar: The Way of Water are probably like tied at second spot for
Yeah, I
me.
haven't seen Avatar yet, but you recommend it for sure.
If you like the first one,
Mhm.
yes. If you
Gotcha.
don't care for the first one, or just fall back to that Fern Gully with 3D graphics, then you're
Mm,
not going to enjoy this one. But
gotcha.
um, I really liked it. I mean, it's definitely its own complete story, but knowing that there's more coming, it definitely feels like, okay, there is some repetitive stuff from the first one, but it's also somewhat different.
Mhm.
But I really liked, again, if you can see it in IMAX with 3D, if you like 3D, it's definitely worth seeing that way. Jay,
That's
I
cool.
know Cocaine Bear's coming out. I didn't realize it was out yet to watch. That looks insane.
Joe, we did not talk about Doom Patrol. I did watch it, and I enjoyed Doom Patrol. I find myself forgetting about Doom Patrol. Like, after it's done, like, it's kind of a crazy ride, and a lot of really weird stuff goes on in that show. And then after the show's done, like, I forget what happened. Like, I could rewatch Doom Patrol season right now for this past season, and I probably would be surprised by most of the things that occur, because my brain has just wiped it out of my memory. Um, so
I've watched the first episode and I liked it. I just haven't taken the time to go back and watch it yet. Like I said, most shows, unless it's something I'm watching with my mom,
mm,
um, it's which, like Lord of the Rings and all the Disney Plus stuff I've been watching with her. So I just want to paint.
right, yeah, yeah. Um, the movie this year that I love, and I've watched at least, I think I've watched it 3 times. I may have watched it 4 at this point, is the Batman movie. Like,
Okay.
absolutely love that. I think Pattinson did a great job. I felt like the way that the movie was structured, it kind of reminded me of the movie Seven, where it was like this,
Yep.
almost like this murder mystery, kind of following the clues thing. And I feel like it would have been a good movie without Batman, like if it was
Hmm.
just, some sort of detective movie. But then it had Batman on top of that. So it's like
Yeah.
it's a good detective thriller with Batman, you know.
Yeah.
Um So yeah, I out of all the comic book movies, that's the one that I enjoyed the most. And I wasn't
Okay.
expecting to. I was expecting to absolutely hate it. But like I said, I've watched it at least 3 or 4 times, and yeah, I love that movie.
Awesome.
So
Yeah, that one, man, that's another one I forgot was this year as well. Yeah, that one was really good. Another one that's up there. So that one would be in my top 5 as well. Um, so would Top Gun Maverick.
I was going to mention that one. That was my next one I was going to talk about.
Oh,
What
go
were
ahead.
your thoughts on that?
Well, I again, even being a kid from, technically the 70s, growing up in the 80s, I heard about Top Gun. I knew Top Gun was a popular. I never saw the movie beginning to end, I don't think, until I was in college.
Hmm.
Um, and the first one, there's not really a whole like people are gonna hate me. There's not a lot of story in the first one. Like it's all just about the different characters and how they interact. Like there's no real plot. It's just them gunning for top position. The Top Gun, right?
Kind
Like
of,
there's
yeah. I
no
mean,
there's no the obstacle they have to overcome is each other and their own. It's a training thing.
right.
So there's no threat, there's no villain, there's no that sort of stuff. So it's not no
Yeah,
plot.
I
It's just a
guess you
different
could say
type of
it's
plot.
more of an internal. To me, the first movie, it's an internal conflict with Maverick on being that um, selfish renegade versus being a team player, and
Sure.
trying to learn throughout the movie that it's not important to be number one, but it's important to be with your team and be part of that
Yes.
team. So
Yeah. But in this one, I like that there were I like the callbacks to the first one. It felt like a true progression. I think it's one of those movies that I think benefited from having such a big gap between them.
mhm.
Because a lot of sequels they come out pretty quick, at least anymore. So having that big gap, you don't have to fill in all the details of the life between the last movie and this one, but you get the references. You get the reference that Jennifer Connelly's character was the admiral's daughter they mentioned in the first movie,
Mhm.
and different things like that. But it was enjoyable just watching the struggle. Like it was predictable, but it wasn't bad that it was predictable. Like it
Yeah.
was predictable in like the best way, if that makes sense. But yeah, I just thought it was really fun. It was really entertaining. Kept my attention through the whole thing. I mean, it was a blast.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like whether it's sequels or remakes or whatever, like there's very few original ideas anymore. So we see a lot of these types of movies where it's like something from the 80s that they're either remaking or they're doing a sequel of. And I feel like when that happens, you either kind of get something that's completely different that nobody enjoys, or you get something that's completely fan service that if you weren't a huge fan of the first movie, you're probably not going to be a fan of this one. I felt like this one did
Yeah,
a good job of, if you had never seen the first Top Gun movie, I think you could watch this movie and really have a good time and enjoy it. But if you did watch the first one, if you loved it, there's enough, like you said, callbacks where you're like, oh, this is that, and whatever, that's cool. I like the way that they did that, and
yeah,
that kind of stuff. So
yeah. I agree. Yeah, you're right. The remakes and the revisits and stuff, they're either too fan servicey or too remade. It's hard to strike that balance because you know it's you can't please everybody.
yeah,
So it's trying to walk that fine line of bringing in new but wanting to keep the old fans and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I agree. I think that movie totally works on its own.
mhm.
Um,
Another completely separate, completely different genre. But I don't know if you've seen the Christmas story, the new one that
I
they
have
did.
not watched the new one yet.
I think that's another one where, now that one I don't know how good it would be as a standalone movie. It's pretty. I think it would be okay, but as a follow up to the first one, I feel like they did a good job of making it an entertaining movie on its own but at the same point, there's a lot of callbacks to the first movie, and you're like, this is really cool. Like it's just an
Okay.
enjoyable, and it's a family movie. Like it's, you know, yeah, it's, I think they did a good job with that.
Excellent.
So yeah, if you get a chance to check that out before the end of the year, I would take a look.
Okay.
So,
Very nice.
cool.
All right, so we've done books, shows, and movies.
Yep.
What's next?
You ready for action figures, or you got something else?
Okay. Since we're both such Mythic Legions fans, can we
Yeah.
do however you want to word it, a separate Mythic Legions to
Sure.
regular action figures? And if it's
Sure.
the same thing, if it's the same figure, that's fine. But like, so yeah, let's do favorite Mythic Legion of the year that actually shipped that you got in hand.
Okay. You want to go first?
No, you go first.
Okay. I would say shipped that I got in hand would be Bardrick. And I mentioned this on the Legion's Lounge episode.
Okay.
If we were to include the Furious 4, because I did get those in hand this year, but they haven't shipped, I would definitely put that up there because I think the parts on that are absolutely amazing. And I think when it comes to a single retail version, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm going to buy as many of those as I can. And I would encourage everybody else to as well, because those parts are awesome. But for figures that actually shipped out and I got this year, I would say Bardrick. You know, it's brand new stuff, head to toe. Love the plain, you know, almost like sheet metal pauldrons. The removable chest piece, the leather look on that they painted, all the different like buckles and rivets and all that. The skirt piece, the cloth arms and legs, you know, just so many new pieces on that I absolutely enjoyed. And then, you know, got some extra diversity in that character, you know, which I really enjoy. I like having some, you know, I don't need all of my elves being like the super pale, you know,
Right.
Caucasian elves, like,
Right.
you know, so it was nice to have something different. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Plus,
So wait, and my other part, one more thing on there. I like 1.0 figures. You know, I know I'm not alone in that camp. There's other people that, you know, love the 1.0s as opposed to the 2.0s, but like 2.0 elves, they're okay, but you give me a 1.0 elf and that's going to bring me to the elf game, because normally I stay away from elves just because I dislike the 2.0 figures a lot. But yeah. So
I like both. I mean, I need all the sizes. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So wait, were we saying this is anything Four Horsemen or just Mythic Legions?
We're saying anything Four Horsemen that shipped this year.
Okay. Then I have to go with Father Christmas.
Okay.
It's a narrow margin to pretty much everything in the Alethea wave.
There's a lot of good stuff there. Yeah.
As far as, because like I 100% agree with you about Bardrick, and Krotos and Valak, just those interchangeable chest plates and the detail and everything they've done on those. Like the new leather goods, the pauldrons, like the leather, I don't know what, I can't remember the term, like the stacked pauldron, like the
Yeah.
Bardrick or Valak has, the smooth ones, like they're really cool. Really cool looks, and yeah, all the characters and personality of all of them are so cool. But Father Christmas, just the overall package, like the art on the box, the figure itself. I know it's 2.0, but like I love the only thing. If I could change anything about it, it would be a taller 2.0. Just kind of that Gandalf-ness to it, because like, yeah, there's Santa and I'm not going to get into all of that. Oh, not my Santa, blah 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 blah. But like, I love that kind of more, you know, European old world Father Christmas vibe. And I think the packaging and the soft goods and the new helmets that came with him are really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, as an overall package figure, he's probably my favorite. I think just again,
And did
like
you keep him as is, or did you change him up at all, or you know?
I kept him as is. I I was able to get like everything except the soft goods from someone else after the fact.
Hmm.
So I use that for customs. But the Father Christmas himself I got is as is.
Yeah, same. I did mine as is as well. I mean, I'm normally, I just got done saying I'm not a 2.0 fan, but I think it works for that character, because when you add those soft goods, especially the thick kind of woolen soft goods that are on that Father Christmas, I think it works and it looks nice. And I like that instead of the Santa type hat that they went with the hood. I love that
Uh-huh.
hood. Um, so yeah, I agree with you. That's a really cool figure. And
And
the way that they did not only the box art for the outside, but the fact that you could open that up and use it as like a backdrop for that character, like so much value in that box for the price of that, everything that
yeah,
you get in it, it's totally worth the money.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Like, um, yeah, the figure itself underneath the robes doesn't have a lot of paint detail on it, but like I don't need it to. Like I was debating whether I could put some sort of other 2.0 parts under there to use off the one I had, but I was like, no, I want to leave him completely as is. And I've got the long beard on him. I've got the hood.
mhm.
And he's carrying the crown as like around his wrist. I didn't put that on his head, but like the staff with like the hook and the lantern and everything, it's just really cool.
Merry Christmas, Christopher.
Merry Christmas. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I actually Joe said here, let's see, Dark Templars if we go
Oh
by
yeah.
sheer volume of purchase. I mean, I know the studio doesn't really share numbers. I have heard that Dark Templar sold a lot. Like it was the largest one in that deluxe wave, and
Oh
it
really?
wasn't even close. So,
Wow.
um, yeah, I think there were a lot of Dark Templars out there, and that reminded me. The reason I pulled that up because I saw somebody in the Cabal had taken that Dark Templar and taken the arms and legs and dyed them like in a black, the Rit dye, and just kind of darkened up that armor a little bit. And you've done some of that, right? Haven't you? Dying?
I've done it once so far. I
Okay.
have stuff to do some more, but I've only done it once.
I haven't yet. I've got the stuff, but I haven't done it. And the reason I brought up that thing because I thought that might be a good, whether it was a Mythic Minute or a little video on your channel. If you do that at some point, I would definitely. I mean, I'm sure other people would as well, but I would definitely be interested in seeing that because, um, I've got the stuff for it, but actually seeing somebody do it, I think would be beneficial. So,
That would be one. It'd be tricky to do live, and I hate editing.
I gotcha.
Just because it's so long. Because you've gotta let it soak for about an hour.
Mm.
But like
Maybe if you
you
did
kind of have
like
to cut.
some pictures and it kind of a tutorial, like list out here the steps or whatever, something like that.
I could. When I think I can't remember if I did a video about the one because I did a Vorgus. I made a Sir
Mhm.
Owain with some barbarian parts and made it into my own Vorgus, the blood armor.
Right.
Um, and like I followed a tutorial I found on YouTube, and like part of me like I could do my own video, but I'd almost rather just send someone to that link and like let that guy get
Gotcha.
the. Um, but I mean, maybe if I do it as a live at some point.
Because I love that Dark Templar, but I do think that the armor could have been a little bit darker. Like I think I would enjoy the arms and legs being a little bit darker.
Yeah. Well,
So
I got a couple of those, and when I realized the parts they had and the parts that came on the new deluxe skeleton,
mhm.
made. When you have to get the helmet if you want to have that unique look. Oh, come on! You can make the Red Shield Soldier.
Oh, yeah.
With the armor between those two. So, yeah. And I don't know. I love this helmet. I wanted to have a couple of these to go with Hadriana and Magnus. So I haven't painted them yet, but yeah.
So, any other Four Horsemen figure? I know I mentioned the Furious Four. Any other ones that were kind of standouts for you this year, or you really enjoyed getting in hand?
I could say almost everything you said about Bardrick, but I'll go with if I could take them as a set, I would say it as a set, but I'll go Artemis and then Alder the Moose. Artemis
Gotcha.
2 and the Moose, I think.
Yeah, I think that Artemis is underrated. I think that's a really cool figure. So
Yeah. The soft goods on her, the way the armor or her chest piece is painted like that leather. Like, I love how the studio, like the factory paint jobs come where sometimes some of the older figures that use the same armor pieces, if they're painted the right way, it looks like
yeah.
leather, even though it's the
Well,
exact same details, you know?
and that's what I try to tell people that say like they don't paint or they can't paint or whatever. It's like just take a figure, take like a Legion Builder dwarf, and just paint inside some of the trim that they've got, like
Yep.
it, or paint some of the rivets. Like it doesn't take much, but you can transform a figure just by painting a few of those details in. And I think it's interesting that you could take that same chest piece or same arms and legs and paint them up thousands of different ways and create thousands of different looks.
Yeah.
And you're still, it's kind of like painting inside the lines. Like you're not doing anything wild and crazy. It's not like you're freehanding, some dragon logo or something, like you're
Yeah.
still just kind of following along with the sculpt that's there. But by the paint that you put on there, you can make it look completely different.
Yeah. 100%. Like it's got the laces up the middle, but like I'd like to see someone paint that to make it look like metal armor, you know?
Yeah.
I think that would be a really cool look. Like, I've been wanting to get another couple of her for customs anyway. We'll see if I can make it to ZoloCon and
It's just a little harder with those. I know, like, I wasn't in the line early enough to get those on pre-order. So, the fact that it's already a deluxe figure, and then on top of that, you add that, you're paying aftermarket prices, you don't get them super cheap. So it's a little bit difficult.
well, that's, I'll take my blessings where I can, being only 3 hours from where they
Oh,
do a
yeah.
lot of their shows, it's easy to get to stuff. So yeah, being a fan of these figures is hard. Being a fan and a customizer and wanting to buy bulk stuff so you can make your own stuff is it's the worst problem, or it's the best problem to have. I think you know what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. I see that from Joe there.
Yeah.
I didn't get the trolls. I've seen the trolls. I almost got the troll because I've got a troll of each version. So I've got a stone troll, a forest troll, an ice troll, and a Brontis. And I didn't feel like I had the space or the need to get another one just to have another head. So I did not get those. But I will say that the Brontis head painted up for the ice troll almost made me cave in. Like the way that they did that, especially around the eye, they've kind of got a little bit extra kind of flared out from the eyeball that they didn't really do on the Brontis, but they did on that ice troll version. I almost caved in on that because that looks really cool. So
Yeah, again, those are ones I hope to pick up at like ZoloCon or PowerCon or Legions Con or something next year. I did not get any of the trolls myself either. I mean, I have a stone troll and a forest troll, but I don't have either of these two.
Yeah, and then the red Krampus, I got 4 of them, and I got them the other day. I have not opened one. I've seen the outside packaging, which looks nice, but I haven't opened one because I don't think I'm going to display one as is. I really just bought it for Fury Clan parts. So, you know,
Yeah.
um, I appreciate that they put one out and it's red and it is cool looking, but I've already got a black one on display. I don't feel like I need a red one too. So those are just gonna kind of get torn apart. So
Yeah, I got one. I had wanted to get a couple, but I got one for, like you said, Fury stuff. But I wanted to make that Cody cat
yeah,
with him. I'm debating putting the Lord Bushati stuff on the bear torso because I just kind of feel like Steve would like that.
yeah. I don't
I
think
think I saw. Didn't he do a picture the other day? Like,
yeah. I think I did not do a bear torso on mine, but right away when I got it, I put the bear Fury arms on it because you got
okay,
to have the guns out, sun's out, guns
yeah,
out. So
yeah.
yeah.
Um, so I think I'll do that. I think if the red Krampus had come out first, I probably would not have gotten a black one.
Mhm.
I think the paintwork. I mean, they're both great, but that red just really pops. The blue eyes are amazing on the Krampus sculpt. Um, I think the red, the black, you lose some of the detail in like the textures and stuff. But I like the green on the loin piece and stuff. I think the paintwork on the red one is really cool. There's part of me that wants a second one just to have as is. Um, but I know if I get another one, I'll probably just pop and swap. And I got to find something to put the red Krampus head on to utilize that head to with the Fury
Yeah.
Clan, but I haven't figured that out yet.
I gotta say, if they put out another Krampus and did like a light blue white version like Melissa Somerville did,
Yeah.
that would probably be my main Krampus. And then I would take apart the black one and the red one just for parts and stuff. So I think that she did an amazing job on that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a color scheme that to me would be my ideal Krampus. Um, but right now, I got the black one on display, and the 4 red ones are going to be torn apart. So
Nice. I like the black one because I think the first time I ever heard about Krampus, it was like some of the old folk art stuff where it was like just a black beast standing behind Santa, so or Saint Nicholas or whatever it was, and yeah, just so the black one to me is kind of like the default in my mind.
yeah,
The look, the white, the blue and white one would be really cool. Not, I wouldn't like if I see a red Krampus somewhere and I'm able to get it, I will, but I'm definitely not going to order another one at this point. And Joe,
right.
being a completist, yeah, I'm glad I don't have that struggle.
I have part of that. Like, I do feel like I have to order everything that comes out. Like, I need to at least do an all in on each wave and usually some extras. Um, but once I have the figure, like, I don't necessarily need to display that figure. So, like, you know, for instance, with Necronominus, I'll buy that whole wave, but I may not display all those figures as is. I may take my tuberculosis figure and instead of displaying it as is, I may break it up into parts and use it as a custom. And in that case, I don't feel like, oh, I'm missing out because I don't have one of those as is on display. As long as I bought it, it doesn't matter whether, in my mind, it doesn't matter whether I display it as is or I use it for something else. um because at least I got to see it and hold it in hand, and that's good enough for me. So
Gotcha. I'm I'm not a completionist in that I don't feel like I need to go backwards.
oh yeah, that
Um,
too. Yeah,
I,
I
I
did.
there's a ton of awesome figures that I
Yeah,
definitely missed out on. I've made my own of a couple.
yeah.
I'm getting ready to make like Vorgus I did and Orange Steelhide I did and Unkin, not Unkin, Urzok.
Hmm.
I tried to do pretty much part for part identical. I'm going to do my own slight tweak on Asterion. Um,
So I've got a question for you on there because I was having a
yeah.
debate with this with Len and the House Seals and I think Billy. Um, People that do reproduction ones that do you make your own, whatever it is, you make your own blood armor or you make your own um, Asterion. Like obviously most of us or I would say probably all of us would not make one of those and then try to pass it off as the original. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
So, that would just be completely awful and I would expect that nobody in our community would do that. But do you feel the need when you're making one of those characters to change it up at all so that, let's say that down the road you need, whatever, for whatever. I don't think that we're getting out of Mythic Legions anytime soon, but let's say you were to get out of the line and you're trying to get rid of it, that people would be able to easily tell that, hey, this looks like a Asterion, but it's not really the real one. This is a reproduction figure. Like, do you feel a need to change it up at all and put your own twist on it?
Um, I hadn't really thought about that
Mm,
previously until I heard someone on one of the shows was talking about it. Um, like, yeah, if I ever sold any of those, I would not sell them for what that figure is actually going for. I'd be like,
right.
um,
And I don't think that I would ever sell them at all because I don't think I'm going to get out of the line. But I just think,
yeah,
okay, what if tomorrow I get hit by a bus and my wife's left with all these action figures that she doesn't need, and she tries to get rid of them, and she doesn't know that the
mm,
Gorgo that I've got is not a real Gorgo, and she's just trying to, you know, sell this collection as is with pictures, and somebody looks and they're like, oh wow, he's got a Gorgo. Well, not really. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
yeah,
it's a kind of an ethical question I don't know the answer to. I just figured I'd pose it to you because we kind of debated about it for a little bit, and I thought, well, maybe you could do something like put your initials on the bottom of the foot, or I don't know,
yeah.
but
I don't know. It's
I don't
interesting
know.
because, like, I mean, if you're making it, you're making it because you want that figure, and if you
Yeah.
feel inspired to do your own tweak to it, like Asterion, I think I'm putting like different horns on it.
Hmm.
Um, a bigger set of horns than because all the Minotaurs have the same horns currently,
Hmm.
so I wanted to give him something a little different. Um, but I keep putting him off in case we get an updated version of him down the
Yeah.
road. Um, and then I can just tweak my version of him a little bit more and make it into another character. But I'm like, but it's that's an interesting question. I think when when I make customs, especially the ones that I've done, I've posted them and made sure like I did this. This is not the original.
Right.
Not to show off like, oh, look how close I made it, but just so people know, like, this is not the legit thing.
Right.
I think I think it all comes down to your intent. Like, if you're intending to make it to sell and make a profit by psyching someone out into thinking it was the real thing, I think that's a problem.
Yeah.
I think if it was something you did because you wanted the figure and you didn't want to pay $400 for a slightly different painted version of all the parts you already have, I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah. I
Um,
kind of landed on the stance of, I would never sell these anyway. And if I did sell them, I would obviously let the people know, hey, this is one I painted or whatever.
yeah,
If it's something where I was to get hit by a bus tomorrow, my wife was going to sell it. She'd probably be selling the whole collection as a whole for like one price, and most likely would be getting pennies on the dollar for what they're actually worth. So if,
sure.
if one or two, because I don't have a lot, I think I've got maybe three reproduction figures in there total. So if, two or three reproduction figures end up in there, I think that person, whoever purchased it, would still end up ahead. So I'm not necessarily completely worried about it, but just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, like my blood armor the weapons, I dyed the weapons so they have like a metallic red sheen to them that I didn't paint over. So all of them are slightly different. Like the Orn, I've never seen an Orn in person, so I know my green, the metallic green I used is not the same as his. It's similar. Like if you saw one in a picture and one in a movie, like you'd be like, oh, that's Luke Skywalker. He's just got gray robes instead of dark gray.
Yeah.
You know,
Gotcha.
the Urzok, for the longest time, he had bare arms and bare legs because I didn't have. I think when I have an app on my phone that I track all my action figure collection in,
Oh, okay.
and any of those that I've done, I've put in as like custom made from other figures. Like
See,
I
that's a
have
good
them
idea.
labeled.
That's a good idea. Maybe having a list for, you know, your loved ones or whatever, if you were to, like, one of the
Yeah.
things, and I'm not trying to be morbid here because, I don't want to be talking about death, but like I send, like, any of my pre-orders, I send a screenshot of the pre-orders to my wife as well. Like she had a file that she keeps them in just in case, like, if, like I don't know about you, but right now I've got like 6 pre-order orders out there or something that haven't been fulfilled. Like, there's going to be packages showing up for the next 2 years, so just to kind of know what's coming. But yeah, that's good. A good idea though, keeping a list of the ones that you
That's
have.
funny. Yeah, I got years ago when I was getting pops, I had it, and then I realized the same company did an action figure one, so I downloaded that, and I've just been adding stuff in. Like I said, whenever I do a custom, I always make sure I put, if it's a recreation, I put, like not original or whatever.
Cool. So what about non Four Horsemen toys?
Non Four Horsemen. I'm looking around. There's a lot of stuff this year. Like, I think it was this year. I've got two. I've got two.
I've got 2 as well.
The Rosario Dawson Mandalorian season 2 Ahsoka figure.
Oh, okay. Which version? From you say the Black series or
Yeah, the Black series.
Black series? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because there was one that came out for Hot Toys, wasn't there? Ahsoka that came out this year?
Yes. Yeah, I had that on order, but I needed money, so I canceled my pre-order.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have no Hot Toys. But yeah, the Black Series version, I think for a Hasbro figure, like Hasbro has really gone downhill in my books on their Star Wars stuff. Mainly their Marvel Legends stuff has really taken a dive, I think. Star Wars is okay. G.I. Joe, I think, is really strong.
But
they
started off not so strong, but I feel like they're really hitting their stride lately.
So. I think the figures themselves were strong. Maybe the choices for the designs weren't as great, but like the overall,
it just seemed like there wasn't, when it first started, like, because I know, Valaverse was really getting into the Action Force at that point. I know a lot of G.I. Joe fans that when the first classified started coming out, there, it was kind of like, do I go Action Force or do I go classified? And it felt like a lot of people were leaning towards the Action Force because the classified just wasn't doing it for them. But then over this past, 8 to 12 months, it feels like classified has really been killing it. And I'm seeing a lot more people go to that as opposed to the Action Force figures.
Okay. I mean, for me, I thought that first wave was a fine, modern update. Like I didn't mind the armor and the looks. I do say I really liked the third version of Roadblock better than the first two. I thought the other two were, but I still think the other two were good figures, but maybe they weren't good Roadblock figures.
But isn't it kind of ridiculous that we got 3 Roadblocks before we got a lot of other character? You know what I'm saying? Like I liked the third version of Roadblock that we got before we got, any of these
and
other
that's a
main
Hasbro thing,
characters we're
but like
waiting
at
on.
least all three of them were very different. Like
Yeah.
you know, so I originally had the first two, the regular version and the Cobra Island or whatever. It was what did I was Roadblock and what's another word that's similar to Roadblock?
I have no idea. I
I don't
have
know.
to
My
get
mind's going
my
to
handy.
truck stop, but I know that's not
Have to
right.
get my thesaurus out.
It was something like that kind of was. It wasn't the word road, but it was something like similar to Roadblock. So like they were brothers or
Yeah.
cousins or something. I think they were fine figures. They weren't good roadblocks.
Gotcha.
Uh, like Duke, I didn't. They were for me again. I wasn't as tied to the original stuff. I mean, I
Hmm.
had some when I was a kid, and I wasn't in any toy community. So like the whole Volaverse thing, I didn't even know was a thing. I think until the end of last year, beginning of this year.
Hmm.
Um, but I think like the details, like on the sculpts on the faces, the armor, the weapons, the accessories, like other than being like everything being the same color as the weapons, like they're all green or they're all black. Um, I think they're some of the best figures that Hasbro's been putting out the last couple of years. The Transformers have taken a dive, in my opinion, too, as far as quality.
Yeah.
But that Ahsoka, I really like the way they did the pinless joints in the knees, the way they're hidden in like her kind of baggy samurai type pants. I thought that was really cool. She gets into some really cool poses,
I
and
think
Ahsoka is just one of my favorite characters. So
it's interesting though because it's like that aesthetic of hiding the joints with the layering of armor and stuff is something that we've been, Mythic Legion's been doing for years, and we love about Mythic Legions. And you are starting to see a few of these other toy manufacturers go, if we just kind of do this and layer some of this armor, we can kind of cover some of these joints so it doesn't look as much like an action figure. It looks more like, an actual character. It's really makes it a lot better for like toy photography and stuff like that. So,
absolutely, yeah. And my second favorite other figure of the
well,
year is
let,
oh, go ahead.
let me do one and then we'll
Okay,
get to yours. That way we both throw
okay,
out one.
okay,
So I'm going to throw out the D20 boar that I just got,
okay.
the battle boar or whatever. Like to
Bone stabber.
me, yeah, I think it's just D20 boar, but
Okay,
it's got, and I posted some pictures in the Cabal. It is like a perfect dwarf mount. Like it is, I can't imagine a better Mythic Legion dwarf mount than that boar. It is amazing. Like the details on it, you can take all the armor off of it, and it looks like an actual boar. Um, I like the horses, the moose, the centaur that Mythic Legions has done, but the D20 wolf and the D20 boar, in my opinion, the best mounts in the game right now. And um, yeah, I would recommend that highly to anybody that is looking for
okay.
one. So
I'm gonna wait for the standard version of that to come out or the
yeah,
basic,
I can see that.
because like you said, for dwarves, that's one. Like if I could get one, I'd want to get two, both colors,
Hmm.
down, just stripped down and just have those as because like for me, if it was the armor I'd want to see on it for a dwarf would be more like plate armor.
Yeah.
I think the bones are really cool.
Hmm.
But I think, having like as the travel mount, oh man, I know this is going off topic, but I love the pig that uh I got to finish this up before that gets awkward. That the dwarf rides in the Hobbit in the Battle of the Five Armies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Billy Connolly's dwarf. I can't remember his name at the moment.
But that would be a cool one to have as something like that for sure.
Yeah, just how it just looks like a giant farm pig with like some
Yeah,
extra tusks. Yeah. Um,
yeah.
Yeah, that D20 board looks really cool.
Yeah, and there's my daughter says other
Yeah,
companies adopting those features in their figure also creates more pieces used with mythics. Cool for customizing. Absolutely. I mean, you know, I feel like as the line grows and we keep getting new pieces, I mean, Alithia introduced so many new parts. I'm finding myself using less fodder from other companies, but there's still some out there that you'll see, a McFarlane figure go on clearance for $5 or something like that, and you're like, oh, I could use the X, Y, or Z from that, or
yeah,
you know, Black Series or a Marvel Legends that'll go on sale, and you're like, okay, there's a part there that I could use. So, yeah, absolutely. Okay,
very
you
cool.
now your other figure
Okay,
that's non-mythic.
um, is the D20 Wolf.
Oh, nice. We
Yeah,
didn't plan this, folks. That's
um,
awesome.
yeah, I was able to do like that paying for whatever through 5K Toys, and
Yeah.
yeah, that thing.
I saw they did like some sales earlier this year. Did you get one of the ones where it was like discounted or something?
I don't think so. I think I
Okay.
got it. I think I got it, and then the price I think jumped a little bit,
Oh,
not a
okay.
lot, but it went up a little bit, and then they went on sale and were around or less than what I paid initially.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, I got the white bone wolf, the gray. I mean, I think it's called the white bone wolf is the figure, and it's the
Mhm.
gray version. And I got to shout out to Greg, Sir Ukzak. I couldn't figure out, like, I didn't want to put the bone armor on the face. Like, it's really cool looking, but I'm like, I want a wolf because it just reminded me of the wolf mount I had in
Yeah.
World of Warcraft.
Yep.
Except the one I had was white, but I didn't want a white wolf to go with Mythic Legions, at least not yet. Um, I couldn't figure out, like, I'm like, why did they have this like divot in the neck? Like, it looks like a piece of fur would fit in there, but like if I don't put the helmet on, it just,
Mhm.
or the neck piece or whatever. And then Greg, I was, before I met him in person, we were talking in like a group chat on Facebook one night with Walter and them, and he was like, "Oh no, that's like in the box." I'm like, "Really?" I was like, "I went through that box." So I got home, had to like rearrange my closet to find the box,
Mhm.
and sure enough, there was just a little tiny gray piece of fur, like just wedged in the foam. I was like, "I completely missed this."
Yeah. Yeah, I've got the white wolf, and like for me, it was a total World of Warcraft vibe. Like um, I know Brian's doing that thing now where he does like the 3D scans of people's face and like prints out heads and stuff. And I actually did something similar to that when I first got into Mythic Legions. I worked with Joel Davis, Headhunter Customs. He's not doing as much with Mythic Legions now, but he basically took a 3D scan of my head and some pictures and created 3 heads for me. He did like just a regular human head, a vampire, and then he did an orc. And on the orc one, he did like this wolf headdress with the whole like the Frost Wolf clan emblem, like as a
Nice.
yeah. And so I've got me as a Fury Clan orc with the a Frost Wolf headdress sitting on the D20 wolf, and
That's awesome.
like that's if the house was on fire and I could only grab one thing, it's probably that wolf with that figure. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Very cool.
good piece for sure. Um, and then my other one non-mythic would be the Ramen Toys Quicksilver. For
Oh,
me,
right.
it's like that's figure of the year for me. I was very disappointed when I saw the New York Comic Con pictures of the Super 7 versions. I had them on pre-order. Was not happy at all with the look of the armor. Definitely not happy with the look of the faces. Like it, I feel like the Four Horsemen did some great sculpts for them, but their paint jobs are just atrocious. And so I canceled my pre-orders, and I had, I was in the my wife is going to kill me support group, and I had, some people had recommended the Ramen Toys version, and I figured I'd try it out. Blew me away. I love that figure. If you're a Silverhawks fan, I know it's kind of a little niche group. It only had one season of a cartoon back in the 80s, but if you're a fan of the Silverhawks, that Ramen Toys Quicksilver, amazing
Okay.
figure. I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
So,
I saw your pictures and your review of it. That was really cool. I also was disappointed by the New York Super 7 reveals. I didn't notice the difference in the sculpt changes that
mhm.
someone called out, but I was like, man, those faces look, it's like they spend all this money on these really nice sculpts and then they just do like 80 style paint jobs on the eyes where it's just like a black line and a dot.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, that's not what the picture looked like that I pre-ordered. And I know, they say,
yeah,
not final, like I get some things are going to be different, but by that point I had gotten Chitara in and she was the first Thundercat I had ordered.
yeah.
I was so disappointed in the face paint app on that figure that I was just like, after seeing those New York things, I canceled every Super 7 thing I had on pre-order.
Yeah, and I've had some conversation with some folks because there's some things that Super 7 does really well on. Like the Turtles line is phenomenal right now.
Hmm.
A lot of the Thundercats are really good, but anytime that they have to do a human-like face, it lands flat. Like it's not good. It was kind of like that with the um, Masters of the Universe ones that they were doing. Like especially if they do a female face, female faces are just they're just awful. They just are. You can go back to the old like He-Man.org and look for like the figures that are coming out from Super 7, and pretty much everyone that came out, people are complaining about the eyes. They're complaining about the look of the skin tone. Like it's just not good. So very disappointed in that. But the Ramen Toys one kind of saved my Silverhawk excitement because
Nice.
yeah, like when I was a kid, I was in the Young Astronauts Club, and that like I
Oh, cool.
always kind of dreamed of being an astronaut, going out in the space. And like I know at the end of those Silverhawks episodes, they would do like the astronomy trivia and stuff. I
Oh, yeah.
absolutely loved that. It was like tell like it would talk about the rings of Saturn or Jupiter or whatever. It would just I don't know. I just really enjoyed that show, and so to have a version of at least Quicksilver so far is great. I did talk to the owner of Ramen Toys, and he did say that they do have plans for the other Silverhawks as well. So
Okay.
I'm excited to see those come out. So
I was only going to get, what was her, is it Steelheart?
mhm.
Was that her name? I was going to get her just to have, because I was gonna have like one or two Thundercats, the four turtles, and I was like, I'll get one or two of the Joes and one or two of the. But like after that New York stuff, I canceled the rest. The turtles are great for the most part. I like the Thundercats except Chitara's face. Like I
Yeah,
think like Lion-O and like the other guys, I think they all look great. But
yeah,
like compared to her prototype picture, it's like they just really went weak sauce on the quality there.
yeah. I've been kind of picking and choosing through the Turtles line and the Thundercats. The Thundercats I've got Panthro and Monkeyan, because those were my two favorite Thundercats growing up. I think it was something about the weapons because Panthro had the nunchucks and then Monkeyan had like the flail. So something about those swinging weapons, like I don't know, I just enjoyed that. So those are the two Thundercats I have, and then on the Turtles, like I just picked and chose a few characters that I ended up going out and getting the vintage version, and then went out and got the Super 7 version to kind of go
Okay.
alongside of it. So I've got like Ace Duck, um, Casey Jones, the Four Turtles, and then somebody else. Oh, I got Rat King. I'm waiting for Super 7 to do a Rat King because
Okay.
they have not put one out yet. And yeah, I need one of those. So,
I will say I love the alternate heads on the Ninja Turtle, like the turtles themselves,
yeah,
like the Super 7 versions. Because I told Sean when I got the Raphael in, I was like, this is kind of the face I thought I was drawing when I was a kid drawing the Ninja Turtles
yeah,
during like downtime in middle school. Like Yeah, I really, and I have the other 3 or the other 4. I made like a sewer manhole that
Yeah,
worked with some scraps. So I have like, so it's like their face is like the original poster for the movie where like their faces are like coming up, and the
that's
one
cool.
guy's the spare hand is just like stuck on the lid, like it's opening the lid. But um, yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. I actually, Ramen Toys actually makes a turtle stand too that is really cool. I think it's got like the sewer grate, and it's
or are they the ones that do the ones that are like they
yeah,
almost look like the 3D card backs almost?
yes,
Like they
yeah,
did the Masters ones, and okay.
yep, yep.
Yeah,
So
those are pretty
they've
cool
got
looking.
those out too, which is kind of cool. So, I don't have the room or the money to totally go into, the whole turtle line. So what I did was I was like, I really like the movie Turtles. I really like the Super 7 ones, and I like the vintage. I'm just gonna pick, a handful and just get one from each of those. So I've got the movie ones that I've got to open. I think they're under the tree for me right now. And then I've got the Super 7 ones and the vintage ones. So I just kind of display
Okay.
those together, kind of go from there. But
Which movie? The original movie or the
the
2?
ones that I got are from the Secret of the Ooze. So there's
Okay,
second movie.
cool.
So they the pre-order was like back in February, and they just
Yeah.
started shipping this past month.
I haven't
So
seen any of those in person. I've heard that they've improved like the articulation and stuff on those from the original ones.
that's what I've heard. Like the sculpt looks mostly the same, but I hear the articulation's a little bit better. So
Very cool.
yeah.
So we've done books, movies, shows, mythics or Four Horsemen, non Four Horsemen. Um,
What about stuff you're looking forward for 2023?
2023. Any of the shows I can get to that get to hang out with people. Like I'm not gonna, no, I'm not as much as I like the toys, hanging out with
Mhm.
people is genuinely like getting to do this show with you and having the
Yeah.
folks in the chat tonight. It's Christmas Eve, and I'm just, this is obviously, if I could be with my family, we're spread all over the country. That would be, ideal. This is a uh, I would probably still have more fun doing this,
Yeah.
as much as I love my family.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's getting to see people. I'm really looking forward to doing Legions Con because I'm sure I'll get to see you there uh, again this year. So, or next year, I'm really looking forward to that. Especially now that I know, like I knew what I went experienced last year going to it, and then it was even bigger. So I know it's going to be even bigger again next year.
Mhm.
But I have done it as a vendor now, so I kind of know what to expect a little bit, to better
Yeah.
prepare myself for it. So, as far as things coming out, uh, I'm looking forward to the next Mission Impossible movie.
Okay.
I do enjoy those movies. I'm looking forward to the Ahsoka series and the Bad Batch season 2.
I didn't even know there was an Ahsoka series coming out, so that's cool.
Yep, yep. Some more characters that have only been in the animation world are gonna show up in live action. So
Oh,
that's
cool.
that's exciting. Um, I'm sure there's other movies that I'm not thinking. Like I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself with movie trailers anymore. Like
Mhm.
if it's a Marvel movie or a Star Wars or something like that, I'll watch it. But if it's something I don't really know much about, I'll watch enough to be like, I want to see that, and then stop watching the trailer because
Yeah. Yeah, I see like the first teaser that comes out, and then I try not to watch any of the ones following because then you
yeah,
you end up like knowing the whole plot of the movie, and it kind of takes
yeah,
away some of the fun. So
yeah. Um, and then I mean, I'm looking forward. I don't have any on order, but I am looking forward to seeing Cosmic show up. I think
mhm.
those are going to be really cool. And Poxus. I think that whole wave is just awesome. As is, I haven't even really thought about the custom aspects of those characters yet for
Yeah,
customizing, but I think that whole wave looks really cool. I'm excited to see what All Star 6 is going to be. Um, yeah, I think that's
cool.
yeah,
I my first and foremost, this show. I'm excited about this. I think this is going to be, this is going to be fun. I know we've got, some really good guests lined up, and even if it was just me and you talking, I have fun doing this. So,
absolutely.
um, super excited for this. I do agree going to the shows will be great. I was hoping to get to Mesquite Con, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to swing it. I just had to fix my brakes, and that cost me $800, and still
Oh
got to put
yeah,
in my Necronominus order. So I'm not sure if I'm going to make it to Mesquite Con. And PowerCon is a little too close to Legion's Con to swing both, so I'll probably just be doing Legion's Con this year. But I say just Legion's Con, but it's an amazing enough event that by
yeah,
itself can carry your whole year. So
yeah,
looking forward to that. I think figure wise, I'm not super excited about Poxus. Like, there's not a whole lot in there that blows me away, with the exception of the brute scale orc. So I mean, if it comes, it's okay. I think Cosmic will be okay, but it's not. Once again, I don't know that it's going to blow me away. I think figure wise, the biggest thing that I would probably be looking forward to this year would be if they do any sort of other Legion builders, whether it's
mm,
Legion builders that they've done in the past, or new quote unquote deluxe Legion builders that they
sure.
put together. I think that I would be really excited for. Um, and then show wise, um, looking forward to the new Witcher season. Kind of sad that it's going to be the last one with
Oh
Cavill.
yeah,
Um, and then I don't know. I don't know enough about what else is coming out. I think Quantum Mania is this upcoming year, right?
oh yeah, Quantumania
So
and Guardians 3.
yeah, so those should be good. DC, who knows what's going on, because it looks like they're kind of blowing up everything at this point. So, um, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's and I'm really looking forward to getting back into customizing, because I kind
Yeah,
of took the last month and a half off, and I'm ready to kind of hit that strong again. So
excellent. Are you going to be doing lives in the Wolf Den again, like just the hangouts?
yeah, I think we'll be kind of opening up the studio, and we'll do one this weekend, but next weekend when I kind of get back into it, I might do one
Cool.
next weekend and kind of moving forward. So
Excellent. I really enjoy those. So
yeah,
I'll as long as I'm in a spot where I can jump in, I'll definitely be there for those.
yeah, that'll be fun. So
Um, Not asking you for any reveals, but exciting stuff playing with Wolf King.
we've kind of teased a little bit of this God's Fire contest that we've got that's going to be coming out, where
That's
people
right.
will be able to submit their ideas for a character. So that's going to be fun. I know, we're working with Zombie 13 right now, and he's got a lot of cool stuff that he's working with Len on that'll be coming out this upcoming year. So that should be great. And then just excited to see, what, Jeremy keeps putting out, whether it's with gnomes or critters, and, Emil and Steven, what they continue to do with God's Fire. I know this last character that we created together, the general was the I've got the print that I got sent from Len the other day, and just
Yeah.
looking at it, the details are ridiculous. Like,
Yeah. That thing looks amazing.
yeah. So
That's
just
really
excited to
cool.
see what else comes from that. But um, more than anything, just like hanging out and talking with folks in the cabal and the den. It's been fun. So I'm looking forward to more of
Absolutely.
that this year. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Very cool. I also am excited for our show. I For some reason, because it's something I do, I always kind of like forget that that's something I'm allowed to be excited for.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. And yeah, going to change it up a little bit for next year. We're not going to be doing the teaser posts, the outlines. I'm not going to do that anymore. We'll just straight out announce the guests at the end of the episode for the next week. So I will say this: we'll make our announcement for our first guest in 2023, Sunday, January 8th, I believe.
Let's see. Is that right?
My phone's over here. I think it's January 8th.
Yes, you are
Yes.
correct.
So,
Yep.
well, I mean, next week is the first Sunday, but there's not I'm sure I'll probably be doing something next week, but I'm not going to have the regular show.
Yeah.
But the first scheduled show with a guest, Sunday, January 8th. I think it's still at 9:00. I'll have to double check my calendar.
Do we got somebody lined up? Is there
We've
somebody?
got our first guest of the year, and we're going straight to the top. We've got Cornboy from Four Horsemen Studios as our guest.
Nice.
So
That's going to be awesome.
Yes, I got to try to make sure I watch some of the old interviews so I don't ask him all the same questions everyone else always asks him.
Yeah.
But that'll be good. Yeah, we've got January's booked up at the moment. We've got all the weeks of January planned out, and so yeah, Cornboy will be our first guest in January, and I'm excited to go on this journey with season 2 of Shooting the Shelf with Curtis and Jesse. And whatever else comes next year. It's going to be fun. Because we don't know what they are, I'm also excited for whatever figura obscura or, however many of those. I hope they don't do a ton of those each year, because those ones I will try to at least get the main release.
Right.
But yeah, I'm excited to see where figure
hits the
obscura
wallet
goes.
on surprise real quick. So you don't want every month,
Yeah.
but yeah, they are fun though.
I think you've said it, Jeremy has said it, other people have said it. Now that they have the gift cards on there, if anyone wants to get you something, or if you have some extra cash, buy a gift card and just stockpile it for when those figure obscura releases come, so you always have something ready. If financial planning is not your forte, like me.
Yep. It's a good idea.
I got in my head the other day, I would love to see a Red Riding Hood and a Big Bad Wolf as like a 2-pack.
Yeah.
Or either one individually, but I think that would be a fun set.
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of people putting out different ideas, and some of them are like, man, I wouldn't have thought of that, but there's a lot of cool ideas out there. So I think, there's no shortage of things they could do for sure. So I'm excited to see what they do next. And they keep telling us this isn't a holiday line, but they've told us that, they told us that after Krampus, and then they hit us with Headless Horseman, and then they hit us with Father Christmas. So they keep telling us not a holiday line.
Technically not a holiday.
Yeah, but they did it right before Halloween. Like,
I mean, it fits in Halloween.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see them do something that's not directly related or indirectly related to a holiday. So
yes, like I imagine it. I know I've seen people saying Easter Bunny. I can't see them doing a barbarian Easter Bunny. Hey, Trevor and Carlo.
Yeah.
Just beg, borrow, steal, get them all. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do, though. I think that there's some really cool ideas out there, and I think they're going to surprise us for sure. I mean, so far, they've hit us with ones where, I mean, I've heard of the Headless Horseman. Obviously, I've heard of Father Christmas, but the story, the lore, the things that they put out, and the little informational that Jeremy puts out, I've learned more about these figures, these characters, from the releases. So I think it's cool just to follow that journey and learn more about these characters. So, no matter what they put out, I'm sure I'm going to learn something. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else you want to plug before we wrap things up tonight?
I think that's it. So for the 5 people that are still on the live stream, you got the first heads up that CB will be joining us on January 9th. That's going to be, January 8th. It's going to be a really good show. And just looking forward to what next year brings. So I appreciate you doing this show this week with me, Jesse. And
no, thank you for suggesting.
It was really cool.
Yeah. And thank you all for joining out, Joe. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's what we wanted to do it, because like I'm home alone tonight. So I mean, I'm always home alone. No one lives with me. But like I'm gonna go see my dad and family tomorrow.
Now we need a Jesse Home Alone skit. We'll
Or
get you
just sit
together
booby
with
traps.
Toy View, and you and Toy View can put something together.
That's another thing I'm looking forward to. More Toy View videos.
Yeah. But
Uh,
yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody. And have a good start to the new year, and let's just encourage each other and
absolutely.
push each other along as we go. So
All right. Sounds great. Curtis, have a great Christmas tomorrow.
yep, you too, sir.
I will. And everyone else, have a great night. And as always, what's on your shelf?